back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another First Division review show. And Philip, we'll start off with Bray Wanderers and Athlone. And it finished Bray 0, Athlone 1, Delaney 49. I gave Bray a lot of credit a couple of weeks ago. And since I did that, guess what's happened? 2 defeats in the bounce. I don't think that's happened all season with them, by the way. Athlone's a great result for them. And we were talking how we think the playoffs are set. Athlone have given themselves a squeak here now. 5 points behind Bray, Philip.
Yeah, it's been blown wide open. Keith, blown wide open. And I'd say Keith Ryan is having a fantastic weekend after that result there. Because I'd say he walked in there to the night saying, we'll do these in tonight. We'll
finish it tonight. We'll finish it tonight. Yeah.
And that was it. And all of a sudden it was, let's focus on the playoffs now. Do you know what I mean? We can, anyone that is carrying a niggle, we won't have to worry about playing them. It's not like if we win against Athlone, we're there pretty much. We're there.
4 games to go. There would have been 8 clear. I agree with you. I think it was a chance to really stamp it in, but it's not
and
like
get everyone right for the playoffs. But it's not like that at all now. Do you know what I mean? Some big games coming up for them. And look, Athlone, do they think? I'd say they're saying, right, we've an outside chance, but I'd say the club Athlone are saying, right, this is blown wide open now, and we've done them in, and they know we've done them in there. We've blown this into open water, and anyone can get it. And look, it is a big gap, and Athlone need to win every single game. Do I fancy them to do that? Probably not. But you have to look at it and say, had it been the other way around, the 1-0 for Bray, we would have been looking for who was actually going to win the playoffs. I think that's probably what the conversation would have been. But again, it's blown wide open. But again, Keith, I just don't think Bray.
They should have enough though to win enough games.
I think they will.
Even if they win 2 of the last 5, it's probably going to be enough. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm just saying it's likely. I think.
I'll be honest with you though, Keith, they could have won this game comfortably. They could have beat Athlone comfortably. This one game I did watch back. I didn't watch many of the Fourth Division full, but I watched this one back yesterday, and I have to say, I can't even pronounce his name. Scherlinger, is it the goalkeeper for Athlone? Is that his name? Yes, I can't remember. I think that's his
Slingerman.
name. Slingerman. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
it escaped me for a minute as well.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He made a couple of really good saves in the game, and really kept them in it at times. And Athlone had to dig deep in this, Keith. You know, they really did. Bray pushed, and I suppose, let's be honest, they could have won the game comfortably. On another night, they win the game comfortably, 4-5-1, I thought. Just the way things went for them, it just didn't. The ball just wouldn't go in the net. Simple as that. Again, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. Slingerman made a couple of brilliant saves, and I thought he was man of the match on the night. I just thought everything he'd done was brilliant. You know, in terms of commanding his box, there was a couple of iffy ones where he came. He probably shouldn't have came, but when he came, he made sure, if I don't get this ball, God help you if you're in me way. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you need as a goalkeeper. I know that sometimes can bite you, and you can concede a penalty, but the referee was a bit fair on him, I thought. But again, as we said, Keith, it's blown it right into context in terms of it's not done. And I think that's what we love to see, Keith. That we all know how competitive the First Division is this year, but I think we thought, Keith, Keno said it this weekend, we're going to see. I think Keno said it this weekend, or maybe a couple of weeks ago. He said this week's set of results is going to kind of set in stone where teams are going to finish. But I think if anything, it's done that and different. Look, again, it could go either way in terms of the playoff. But I just think with the way things have gone and with the result in this game, I think it's all to play for still. And I'm looking forward to the run in now after this.
Yeah, talking about set, the finished Galway 0, Treaty 0. Mark Ludden, obviously years at Galway man, got sent off against his former club, as you do. But these, Galway are in 39, Treaty in 37, so Athlone are in 28. So they're set with 5 games to go, and UCD are set. But this game, I did say, in fairness, didn't I, that I think you went one way and Keane went the other way, and I said, this has got draw written down the middle over it. Like this was, I'm so confident about this one being a draw. I just got the impression that both teams subconsciously would have thought, look, you know what? Probably a draw does us here and we're set. And that's kind of the way it panned out a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if anyone had a few pounds on it. Because I tell you one thing,
I should have.
Yeah, exactly. About to say to you, Keith. Like, if I've never seen you so certain about something, like the way you said it, you're like this. You're straight to it. You're like, this has draw all over it. Like, look, I think, yeah, exactly. I think this game, as you said, Keith, both teams kind of said, look, we don't need to win it. Like, we don't. And I think if one team goes and pushes for it and someone gets an injury, something stupid like that, I think this was probably one of those conservative games. I didn't watch it back, to be honest with you, because I seen the score. I was like, oh, right, I'm not going to bother.
Philip, I think there's an element as well that, you know, they kind of both know at the back of their heads they're going to be in the playoffs. We don't really want to show our full deck here, like, you know what I mean? Because we could be meeting again here.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you can look at other games and other videos and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff, but even so, you don't want to make it easy.
Yeah, well,
the opposition to analyze you.
If you can get video analysis, but nothing beats analysis of actually playing that team and how that team go about it. And like, I think, as you said, both of them kind of kept their poker hands together. So, again, 0-0. Not much. I didn't see it, to be honest with you. I'm gonna be straight out. Like, I didn't watch it. I just seen the result, and that was that. And I'd say a lot of people did the same as well. I'd say anyone that watched it probably flicked off. And look, again, fans might comment and say, "Oh, we just didn't watch the game. What he's talking about? We don't watch every game, Keith. We all know we don't watch every game.
It's impossible to watch 10 games over a weekend.
We can't.
Usually, when there's three of us here, nearly every game is watched somehow.
Yeah,
like, you know, which is, or at the very least, good highlights of it. But I think most people understand that, to be fair.
And you know who definitely watched this, and he's not here? Keno. I'm telling you now.
I heard he watched Wexford, and we'll get on to Wexford in a minute, but I heard he watched Wexford and Cove 5 times, doing a bit of video analysis because they play Pats in the Cup next week. Wexford.
There you go. And look, Keith, I suppose we'll talk about them now in a minute, but I want to talk about both sides here, Keith, because obviously we don't want to just say, oh, well, it was a 0 and that was it.
Yeah.
At this current stage, right, if I was to fancy anyone to beat Dundalk in a playoff, it would be these two sides. It would be these two sides, you know.
Could you imagine, Philip, actually, honestly, just throwing that out there, could you imagine Caulfield coming back, beating Dundalk?
That would be unreal, wouldn't it? Oh,
you know, there's a bit of karma there a little bit too that comes into play, but
to
it's just something you can see, but it's going to be interesting how these guys do in the playoffs. They still have games left, as we say, but like Treacy, to be saying that, by the way, about Treacy just before we move on, even with 5 games to go, it looks like Treacy are settled in the playoffs. That's unbelievable. Like,
fair play to them, and everyone down there in that club, like, give yourself a nice pat on the back, because what a job they've done down there. And the thing is that I love to see, obviously there was a lot of Limerick fans involved with Treacy, no question about it. It's good to see those fans with some sort of carrying through, and there's hope. Do you know what I mean? There's hope with the likes of those fans. Look, what happened with Limerick was a disaster, was a shambles. But I can tell you now, Keith, you know this as well. There was a lot of genuine fans down there, and it was sad to see that happen. And the fact they have a football club that is going in the right way and is doing things right, I wouldn't imagine they could have dreamt this would happen this year, being in with a chance to go up. And the thing is, Keith, of all the teams in the playoffs, I fancy Treaty most to beat Dundalk.
They won't be easily beat, though.
No, they won't.
Sure.
I fancy them the most to go up. And Galway have been brilliant or whatever, but I just think defensively, Treaty would be a nightmare for Dundalk. And I think they'd get flustered. I think they'd get frustrated, this Dundalk. I think they get flustered and frustrated. And I think Treaty would have a really good chance of beating them.
If I'll just throw it out there, they actually played in the Cup, and Dundalk did win, but they won 1-0 in extra time.
Yeah,
so that shows how difficult it would be for Dundalk too. Like
I know this might sound a bit far fetched, but I think they're the best team defensively in both divisions. In both divisions, I think they go and give a good account against Dundalk. I think Rovers would really struggle against them. I think Pats as well. Sligo. I can't see a team like maybe. If anyone could trouble them defensively, I think it'd be Bows. And that's just the way Bows play. They can trouble a lot of teams defensively. But they need to sort their own defence out. So I just think both sides settled for the draw. Really looking forward to the playoffs for both of these, and I really hope they do well. And honestly, if you're a Treaty fan and you're watching this, I really do hope you do come up this year. As much as I'd like Galway to go up, I think Treaty just have that little soft spot at them for the moment with the Limerick fans and how things went for them. So all the best about sides in the playoffs. And again, we didn't watch the game, but we're just going to talk about your club, and that's what we did. So onwards and upwards.
Absolutely. Finished UCD 5, Cabinteely 2. And I talked about in the preview show how UCD they beat Cabo every time they meet, and usually by big scores. Well, that continued. Their 6th win against Cabo in a row. Whelan scored, Keeney scored, Kerrigan scored a hat-trick. We'll get on to him in a minute. Byrne and Feeney for Cabo. But what a run of form UCD are on. They're the opposite of Treaty in many ways. They can't concede goals, but they're a joy to watch. And we always talk about Colin Whelan, but Kerrigan is a very, very good midfield player. 10 goals this season, by the way, 8 assists. And probably don't talk about him enough, to be honest with you. But an excellent... I've seen him score a goal even 2 years ago. I think it was 19 against Drogheda. He just, from his own half, a solo goal, he went by 3 or 4 players before slotting at home. He's a really good footballer. And if UCD don't go up, we talk about Whelan, Kerrigan, and even Keeney himself. They're their 3 key players, really. Fans, you hear me? Clubs are going to be after those players.
Yeah, I suppose, Keith, I know this sounds stupid. If they don't come up, I would say they might actually, like, a couple of players will leave, but I'd say the most of that squad would be held on to because of this poor run that they had during the season. Remember, Keith, where they couldn't win a game for ages and they were conceding tons of goals. And I think that actually might work out in their benefit, Keith, when it comes to next year. If they can keep maybe 1 or 2 extra that they probably wouldn't have expected to keep, I think they could win the league next year if they don't come up. That's being honest with you. Obviously, Dundalk, different kettle of fish altogether. But if they go down, I don't
know what squad they can have, though. Yeah, exactly.
It'll be a whole different Dundalk. It won't be Dundalk of old. They're not Dundalk of old at the minute, but even still, if they go down, it'll be even worse. So, I think they could win the league, UCD. They were really comfortable in this game. I did watch back the highlights of this. Some brilliant goals and knocked the ball about really well. Look, Keith, I think we all knew that it was going to be a game where UCD could win and should win, and they did. They've done their job, and there's not really much else you can say about it other than they played some really nice stuff, knocked the ball around well. As for Cabinteely,
just filtering out their season really at this stage.
Yeah, it's gone for them, and I think lads are kind of maybe. Yeah, it's surprising. I thought maybe players might be saying, "Do you know what? I need to get out of here. I need to play for a move." I think probably a couple of players could have done that. And it just didn't happen for them on the night. And just with the way things are going, Keith, I'd be a bit concerned for Cabo. The way the club is being run, there's no progress. There was progress for a couple of years, and it's just gone backwards now. It's regressing rather than progressing, and I'm concerned for them. I think there's one lad, McPhillips, I think he needs to move. I really do. I think he could play in a lot of teams that are in the playoff spots at the minute. I think he's got that quality. I think he could play in the top division, if I'm honest with you. I think that's how good he is.
I won't be surprised if he moved there. Not putting words, I don't have a clue, but to Bray Wanderers, because it often happens. Some of Cabo's best players move to Bray, actually. But
he's 10 minutes down the road, and I have to say he's a really good lad. I played football with him. I know how good he is. Like, do you know what I mean? And I just think that Cabo are holding him back. And I know it's not about an individual. Sometimes it is, though, when you've got that much quality, and we've seen that at Drogheda. I don't know what happened then in terms. I think with Drogheda going up, it happened too soon for them. It happened too soon for him to play a part, and he needed to develop. And I think he's had that season or so now at Cabo where he's developed. Obviously, things haven't went his way with the club and where the club want to be, but I think from playing with him, I played with him in college for Pat Scully, and he was a really good footballer. But I looked at him again, and I've looked at him this season. He's gone that little step up, even though Cabo haven't shown it. His delivery's gotten better.
That can put him in the shop window even more, Philip, because he's kind of standing out a little bit, you see.
Yeah, exactly. And I think someone will pick him up, and I hope he gets him out because he is a really good lad. There's no ego. A lot of players, they can be good and there's an ego. There's no ego with him. And fair enough, he has his long hair, whatever, and his nice boots and his high socks, but he doesn't have any sort of ego. He doesn't dive. He doesn't do any of that sort of stuff. He's a hard player that is firm in a tackle, and I hope he does get his move. But again, I'm going to talk about Cabo. They've just been really, really poor, and Yeah, I don't know what else to say, Keith. It's just not happening for them at the moment, and I think they need a new manager. I think they need a good clear
Is it
out of
going
this squad.
stale, do you think, a little bit in that
Yeah,
regard? Yeah.
I think they need to take a step back next season in order to take a step forward. I think they need to completely change the squad, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about them, Keith. They just haven't been good enough, and they've got everything they deserve this year. But again, I really do hope Owen gets his move, because he's a good lad and he's a good footballer, and I think he could play at a lot higher standard than Cabo at the moment.
Yeah, I suppose with UCD, quickly before we move on, like, we don't really talk about Andy Myler too much, because it seems with UCD, it's the progression. Whatever manager's there, they play the same way. So you feel like, I'm not saying the managers make a difference. That's a ridiculous thing to say. But the point is, they make sure they get the right manager in that suits what they're trying to do. He knows his way around UCD and how it works. He's obviously been at Shamrock Rovers, as you know, under O'Neill and all that kind of stuff. And it's just seamless always when the manager comes in at UCD. And he's carried that on through at UCD, which is why we haven't talked about it much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, look, Keith, we can talk about managers all day and how they want to play and how they want to set up, but UCD is bread and butter. We play nice football. I think the good thing that the good thing he's done, and it hasn't been really mentioned, Keith, is when they went on that really, really poor run of form and they kept conceding a lot of goals. Obviously, he worked tactically on the defensive side of things. And there has been a bit of a development this season towards to where we are now, where they have been better.
I do think they've been better overall, better defensively in last season. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the way it is Keith, they haven't brought in anyone in the sense that is going to be a game changer for them defensively. Like, do you know what I mean? Seeing Liverpool years ago, if we're going to compare them, not obviously comparing UCD to Liverpool, but in terms of the situation where they were conceding a lot.
Way
better. Liverpool were conceding a lot of goals, and then they brought in Van Dijk, and that just stopped. UCD didn't do that. UCD had still got the same core bunch of players, but have obviously worked on what they were doing wrong defensively in this poor spell that they were on, where they conceded 4 and 5, and all of a sudden that was eliminated. They're still conceding some goals, but they've really reduced that margin of conceding goals to what they had been maybe 7 or 8 weeks ago. So I think he needs a bit of credit for that.
To be honest, Phil, yeah, he does. I think Sam Todd from Finn Harps has helped them defensively, I have to say. I think he's brought a bit of steel that they probably lacked as well, a little bit. Like, you know, they're good footballers in defence, but he's a bit old-fashioned, if you like, defender. And I think he's come in. He definitely has helped to make a difference, but at the same time, I don't think one would necessarily. It's a collective thing as well with them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and look, I suppose they've got that set up now. They need to try hold on to as many as they can now for next season, and then hopefully, for a UCD perspective, I like them as a club. I like the way they go about their business. It's unfortunate that they can never keep their squad and challenge for a league and the top division that is, and it's a bit of a shame that happens. But they're a good club to have in the league. Hopefully they can get themselves up next season, Keith. I don't see why they couldn't if they can hold on to the core bunch of what they have and probably add 1 or 2 for next season.
Yeah, so finished Wexford 3, Cove 1. Moylan with a cracking goal. McAvoy and Considine. Malloy for Cove. Interestingly, Cian Murphy, Philip, has announced he's leaving Cove, and pretty honest about it, actually. Kind of, he suggests he's lost his hunger for League of Ireland football, which is interesting. And I don't know if it coincides. It does coincide with Cove, obviously, you know, on a bad run. They're well beaten against Wexford here, the team bottom of the league, to be honest, as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, Ashton has left, and it's gotten worse, in my opinion, since he's left. Not better, not the same. It's gotten worse.
Yeah. First of all, best of luck to him. I know it's a tough thing to be dealing with your own problems mentally, let alone football wise. I've been in that position before where things just aren't going your way, and you know it can be hard, you know, and
but he's done the right thing, if that's how he feels. Yeah, he has done the right thing.
I done the same in a game playing college football, Keith. Mentally, I just wasn't there, and I just said it to Pat Scully at half time. I says, Pat, look, I'm not in the position where I'm able to play a football match anymore. And obviously, he's in that position now at the minute, and there's nothing worse, man. It's the worst position to be in your life. It's just your brain's not with you, and everything's a challenge. Not just football. Everything is a challenge, and I just wish him all the best. I really hope he can get himself in the right headspace, because it's not a nice thing to see, you know, and it's horrible. Like even thinking about what I went through myself, it's a hard thing to even think about, and I really hope he gets himself sorted. So all the best to him. Won't talk about it too much more, but I really hope he gets himself into the right headspace. But look, Cove, as you said, Keith, it's a disaster, like, you know, and the way things are going for them at the moment, as you said, it's going backwards. They could end up in Wexford shoes next year, where they started the season really, really poorly, and things just don't seem to get going for them. Wexford obviously got in players from the bigger clubs in the top flight that have really helped them, but I don't think Cove can do that, because Cove don't play that sort of football in a sense. They try to, but they can't really, you know, what they have. And yeah, it's really, really, really worried for them, like, you know, in terms of the next 2 or 3 years, how things will go, because you've taken out the manager with that bit of resolve, and I suppose the word that I'm looking for is security.
He was a manager that's well respected, and up to, do you know what I mean, the few weeks before he left the club, he was doing a good job, like, seemingly.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult. I don't know. Really,
they needed. I think right. What happened there was, Keith, was they thought, we're slipping out of the chance of the playoffs, and we need to freshen it up, and it's backfired. And like, I know it sounds mad. I could see them trying to sign him again next season. I think they'll get rid of your man that's there now, because he's done nothing. He has done nothing. Of
course, if he's willing to come back and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another conversation for another day. But like, you've taken that blanket of security, because he was that blanket of security. He obviously didn't have the best squad, and it's shown even more so now. He was getting more out of what your man's getting out of him now. So, like, it just goes to show, if you try change something like that, sometimes it can go for you, and sometimes it can backfire. And it's just majorly backfired, and it showed in this game as well. But I suppose, Keith, Wexford, fair play to them. You know, another result, another win. Very few this season, but I'd say they were delighted. And look, again, it's one of those.
Before Philip, I mean, that's a big. I know, but
yeah,
you know, it's a big step in their season, in their development. I mean, you're looking at them and saying, okay, there's a bit of something there, and you're looking at Cove the opposite, like, you know.
Yeah, well, like, this is like, let's call a spade, Keith. This is like a run of Shamrock Rovers winning 4 games in a row. That's what it is for Wexford. They haven't lost in 4 games, and the fact they're going out into games, and like this season at started, like, say, about 3 months ago, you'd have said there's no chance they'll go 4 games unbeaten, even if it was a couple of draws and a couple of wins or whatever it was. Like, you know what I mean? They still done it, and credit to them, because it is hard thing for Wexford to do, and it's good to see that they're going into games now, even though it's a Cove that are really, really poor and struggling. They went into that game and they said, right, let's go and have a real good crack at it. They're not playing for anything. They're playing for pride. You know what I mean? They're playing for the players on loan are playing for going back to their club next season, and that's all well and good. But like, the club itself is not playing for anything, and that can sometimes bring you down and hold you back. But it didn't hold them back in this result, and fair play to them. They were full credit for it, Keith. I look back at the highlights, some good goals as well. Nice little passages of play in the build up to the goal. One of the goals in particular as well. So good stuff from them. All the best to them. It was a nothing game, as we said, Keith, when it came to it, when the boil beats the boil. So you can't really say much else other than I love Wexford, unlucky Cove.
Just a final word in Cove as well, just to throw in there as well. Like, they lost to Maynooth in the cup as well, and just that kind of stuff just adds to it. Like, you know, I mean, it's all right struggling a few games in the league like they have been, but losing to Maynooth in the cup would have been a big, big blow as well to them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, mentally as well, Keith. Mentally, that would have killed a lot of lads. And, you know, I think that's probably another reason why a man's left. Murphy's left, because he knows, like, look, we're going nowhere. And, like, that, whatever headspace you're in, that's regardless. But, like, football, losing to teams like that is not good for you mentally, regardless of what position you're in before going into that game. It can really pull you down, and that can sit on you for weeks. And I've been in a position where you're going into a game and you should win comfortably. Not comfortably, but you should get through the round, and you're expected to win, Keith. Let's be honest, they were expected to win against Maynooth, and they didn't. And that can be daunting for any player coming out of a game saying, Jesus, how do we lose that? And that can be on your mind for weeks, and it probably looks like it has been, because they were blown away by Wexford, in all honesty. So again, it's just something they need to get sorted, Keith. We could talk about them all day, but it's just a bit of a weird situation with them.
Yeah, finally, Turner's Cross finished Cork 0, Shelbourne 2. And I'm smiling because I tipped Cork. And then Gavin Woods decides to send me 2 days later the big injury list of Cork had.
Yeah, so did
I was looking at it going, come on. But no, honestly, complete reshuffle in defence. Missing a lot of players. I know they were missing some of them anyway, even so. But well done to Shelbourne now. They're 10 points clear of 5 games to go. It's done. Brennan, 15 goals this season. For someone who isn't what you call a centre forward, unbelievable for Ryan Brennan. Premier Division player, let's be honest. Quite a few of them, Shelbourne, but he's definitely one of them as well. And they'd be delighted to go down to Turner's Cross, get the 3 points, and, they're on their bike, I suppose, now.
Yeah, no one's catching them. Fair play to them. I suppose the thing that, like, Shelbourne are such a weird club at the minute because people still aren't happy with them, which doesn't make sense. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
They're not happy. Know what it is? Some of them, most of them are happy, Philip, because usually the unhappy ones are more vocal than the happy ones. You see what I'm saying? But in terms of the unhappy ones, they don't like the style of football they're playing. They want to see free. Yeah, exactly. They want to see free flowing attack. We all want to see free flowing attacking football, but this isn't an easy division. They've been beaten once this season. It's not an easy division. They're 10 points clear. UCD, Galway, Treaty, Bray, these teams are all capable of winning on their day against the Shelbourne. So you can't deny, I don't think, the job that Morris and Reynolds have done at the club. They obviously have a bit of steel. They're trying to build that into them, a bit of steel, because they'll need that in the Premier Division next season. I can tell you, they'll need that steel. And I don't really know. Really, I know what they want, but that doesn't necessarily mean you get results. Not as if they're playing terrible football either. They've scored a lot of goals this season. So,
Keith,
I don't know.
Shelbourne are the most convincing First Division champions this season I've ever seen. There's no question about it. Like, I can think once, I'm trying to remember the last time a team was so comfortable in a league, and like losing one game all season. Do you know what I mean? Like, that says it all. Like, do you know what I mean? And I don't know. I think people that are saying that are either new to football or they're just deluded if they think that this is all right. Like, this is poor and it's not good enough and whatever. So, like, I'm not going to entertain that argument, being honest with you. Yeah, look, they were excellent, done their job, and played some really good stuff down Turner's Cross. So credit to them. But I want to talk about Cork, Keith, because look, they were played off the park, in all honesty, but they did well to keep the score down. You know, I thought, I looked at it, and I did actually watch this game back, and this was one of the couple of games that I did watch back this weekend, because I thought, geez, they had no defenders, no nothing, and they still only lost 2-0.
They were well beaten, weren't they?
They were never in the game, Keith, and like, that's fair enough to say. But as stupid as this sounds, it looked like they did. Like, even though they had a reshuffle and they were missing a lot of key players, they looked like they had. I know it sounds stupid. I know, like, even before I say this point, it's going to sound stupid. They looked like they had a bit of backbone about them, and I know that sounds really strange to say that, but like, they only shipped 2. They could have shipped a lot more, but I just thought, there was gut, there was determination,
no, 100%,
there was all those things that Cork were missing at the start of the season that will cost.
They just simply came up against a team that were just better than them.
Yeah.
And if that happens, you can accept that a bit more. Like,
yeah, and that's it. Like, that's all it was, Keith, in the night. And I have to say, as like I said they have a chance, and I thought they would get in. That's it, gone now, completely gone. No chance now. They will be kicking themselves. I think yourself and Tino will be right. They'll miss out by a couple of points if they can get those lads back fit. But don't, like, next season, if they can get 1 or 2 in, they'll have a chance. I think they will get in the playoff next season if they can play like they have been playing.
At least,
yeah,
I think they should be looking to challenge. I think.
And I think the fans, I think they'll realise what happened this year. The club was a bit of a mess. It seems to be a bit more organised now. And yeah, we're just confident in them coming up next season. Like, you know, whether that's winning the league or through a playoff, maybe it might be a bit of a step in a playoff, playing against the side that probably in the First Division, a bit more experience. But again, you'd fancy their chances, Keith. And fair play to them. They went and gave a good account of themselves in the game without creating too much. They created very little, actually, to be fair, in the game against Shelbourne. But as I said, there was a bit of backbone, even though they had a reshuffle. And yeah, it's a fair play to them. And look, let's be honest, Keith, they will be kicking themselves. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. They'll be kicking themselves. And it's something that would be frustrating more than anything else for any fan to see that you're a couple of points away. I think they will only be a couple of points away come the end of the season. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Philip, I'll throw this at you, right? Based on what you've seen at Shelbourne, just say, hypothetically, they get promoted, right? Well, they don't bring in any players, they don't lose any players. Where are you looking at them in terms of the Premier Division?
Jeez. Have you got an hour? I'll be honest with you, Keith. Right, I know
this minute and time. Where would you? Do you think they're good? They're good enough to challenge for Europe? Do you think they definitely go down? Do you think they'll be in and around that? Do you think they'll be mid-table?
I know I made the point about the manager there a moment ago, Keith.
Yeah.
In terms of how good they've been, but I tell you what I think is going to happen next season for Shells. I think they'll go up, right? Obviously going up, but I think they'll struggle defensively again. I think tactically, if they don't bring in some sort of defensive coach, change the defensive coach, I think they'll be found out. This season,
it will be interesting though. They will bring in players, let's be honest, but it'll be interesting to see what type of player they can bring in. I guess that's the big thing. What will the budget allow them? That's going to be huge. But as it stands, they're probably still about 8th, 9th in the league, are they? The Premier Division, do you think?
Yeah. I don't think they'll have the run that they had last season, where they ended up going down. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they will stay up.
Just fell apart behind the scenes there.
I think they'll expect to be comfortably mid-table. I think that's the expectations of the board will be, to stay up quite comfortably. But I don't think it'll be like that. And I think that maybe, I know this is a bit far-fetched, but I think there might be a change of manager halfway through the year next year. I just think defensively, if they can get it right defensively, Keith, they can finish mid-table comfortably and an outside chance of Europe. But you don't know with them. The last year, you just can't tell. And look, fair is fair. They were really, really worthy champions this year, but it is a step up. And we've seen it the year before. They weren't able to cope with that. I think the experience that they have, the first team that they have this year is well capable of playing in the first division, is capable. Doing it is a different story. And it's a weird situation, Keith. You could talk about them all day, and I know we could talk about them all day, and I really don't know. I think maybe they'll struggle. They'll change a manager and they'll be okay then. Not that I'm undermining the manager. I think he's a good lad and he plays some nice football when he can, but I don't know. I could talk about it all day. I think they will sack him next year with a poor run of form. They'll bring someone else in and they'll stay up. That's what I think.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go. I'm actually looking forward to seeing them back, to be honest, because they have some brilliant derbies of Pats as well. But we'll leave it there, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you're new. Hit your bell notification button so you don't miss a video. And like the video if you like the content. Cheers, Philip.
Thanks, Keith.